and welcome back. Hope you were able to have a quick leg stretch or whatever you need to do. I got myself a cup of coffee. What I'm going to do now is going to look a little bit strange. And those of you who have known me for more than about 5 minutes know that's not unusual. I'm going to show you a series of shapes. Now what I need you to do is actually nothing. At least don't react, don't say anything, don't respond in any way to the shapes that are being shown. I'm going to show you them twice. What I do need you to do is to think within yourself, work out which shape you most prefer. Go with your gut reaction. Which shape do you have most affinity with? Okay, don't use the logic. I say go with your gut reaction. Which is a shape out of the 5 I'm going to show you which you most prefer? And as I said, I'll show you them twice so you know what's coming. So you ready for this? Square. Are you a square? Don't mean the car you drive, the music you listen to. Is square the shape you prefer? Circle. Are you a circle? Are you a rectangle? Is that the shape you prefer? Are you a triangle? Is that the shape you prefer? Are you a squiggle? Is that the shape you prefer? Right, I'm going to show you them again. You know what's coming. And again, don't react. Don't talk to anyone else about this. Just in your own mind, work out which shape you think you prefer. Square. Circle. Rectangle. Triangle. Squiggle. Right, it's difficult to do this remotely because at this point I would normally ask who preferred which shape and divide you into groups. But have a think about who you are as groups. And you possibly don't know what everyone else has said because I said don't react. But I'm now going to tell you who you are. What just happened there? Well, what just happened is hopefully you realized you preferred, maybe only slightly, one shape over the others that I showed you. And there are going to be others in the room who did. So if you're all feeling brave, then those who were squares, just put your hands up, look round. Hands down. Those who were rectangles, just put your hands up, have a look round. My guess is probably not many rectangles. Hands down. Okay, circles, hands up, look around. My guess is quite a lot of circles. Hands down. Squiggles, hands up, have a look around. Possibly not such a big group of squiggles. And finally, triangles, hands up, have a look round. My guess is probably quite a lot of triangles. Okay, hands down. The groups that you find yourselves in are ones you selected, simply on the basis of looking at the shapes I showed you. Now, the idea is that the shape I showed you corresponds to something to do with your personality. Who's heard of personality types? Well, the thing is, of course, we're all individuals. And those of you who are Monty Python fans will know what to say about that. But we are all individuals, but we kind of have an understanding of different types of people. Someone could be more extrovert, someone more introvert, someone artistic, someone scientific. And over the years, number of people have tried to codify this, to try and understand how people have different personalities. A few weeks ago, I was giving this lesson live and someone came up to me afterwards and said, oh yes, like the horoscope. All right, okay. I'm not quite sure about how planets moving several thousand years ago have anything to do with our personalities today. However, he wasn't wrong in that your horoscope is a way of trying to identify and codify your personality type, even if we don't particularly do that stuff. There have been quite expensive schemes. There's something called the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which we now know is a load of rubbish. But that's a really expensive scheme that a lot of large companies use, particularly when they're employing graduates, to try and work out the personality type of the people they're getting in. You sit in front of a computer screen for 20 minutes, answer questions about your social life, and it gives you a 4-letter code saying who you are. And I say we now know it doesn't work, but big companies use it, and it's actually quite expensive. So what I've just done for you today with these shapes is a free version we downloaded from the internet because the Navy's broke. However, it could very well be that dividing you into the groups using shapes does have some scientific basis, because that's what the scheme, people who devised the scheme believe has happened. So what I'm going to do to you now will look a lot like reading your horoscope, but this is science, so it's got to be better than that, hasn't it? Right, I'm going to read round the shape groups and tell you who you are. Now, not every attribute I read out is going to apply to everyone equally in the group, and there'll be some that not at all, but don't laugh. I'm about to tell you who you are. I'm going to start with the squares. So squares, this is for you. Are you ready? How's life in Squareland? If you are a square, you are an organized, logical, and hardworking person. As I said, not every attribute will necessarily apply equally to every person who's a square. You like structure and rules. Sometimes you have trouble making decisions because you always want more information. You feel most comfortable in a stable environment with clear directions on what to do. You tend to like things that are regular and orderly. You'll work on a task until it's finished, no matter what. Sounds pretty good for the Navy. Think about trouble making decisions. My daughter said something to me the other day about FOMO, fear of missing out. And squares have a lot of that. Want to see the result of their decisions before they make them. Go to a restaurant when you can do that. Look at the menu and go, what's going to give me the most food here? And want the result of the decision before you actually make it. For the rest of you, okay, this is how to spot a square. They appear to move straight, use precise or specific gestures, love routine, and are very concerned with detail. How's your kid? They're also very neat in their appearance, their personal workspace. They do a lot of planning and are always prompt. We like squares a lot in the Navy. They're hard workers and do stuff right. All right, moving on. Rectangles. Now, my guess is that in the room that I'm not actually really looking at, there will be fewer than 4 rectangles. But hey ho, you're very special people. We love you lots. You are a courageous, brave, exciting, and inquisitive explorer who always searches for ways to grow and change. You enjoy trying things you've never done before and love asking questions that have never been asked. You like structure and will often be the person to be sure things are done the proper way, taking all rules and regulations into consideration. When you're given a task, you'll start organizing it to be sure it can be done the most systematic way. That's rectangles. Right, for the rest of you, how to spot a rectangle. These people often have fleeting eyes and flushed faces. Now it means they're just rushing around doing stuff all the time. They also tend to giggle. And they like variety. For example, they'll come into work either early or late, but not on time because that's boring. And those who have offices tend to be disorganized with a mishmash of furniture. Now, to any rectangles in the room, you're not alone. When you take one look at my office, you realize I'm a rectangle. Circles! Hello, circles. How's life in Circle Land? Anyone remember Roly Poly Oly? That was Circle Land, wasn't it? For those of you who don't remember Roly Poly Oly, that was Channel 5, first thing in the morning, different shaped robots on different shaped planets, living in 1950s America. It made sense. It made sense at the time. Anyway, right, if you're a circle, you are social and communicative. No hard edges about you. You handle things by talking about them and smoothing things out with everybody. Communication is your first priority. When given a task, you'll want to talk about it. You are a people person with lots of sympathy and consideration for others. You listen and communicate well and are very perceptive about other people's feelings. You like harmony and hate making unpopular decisions. Right, for the rest of you, how to spot a circle. They are friendly. Okay. Nurturing, persuasive, and generous. They tend to be relaxed and smile a lot. Okay. They're talkative, but have a mellow voice. They also have a full laugh and like to touch others. And like to touch others on the shoulder and arm. So I don't know what you're thinking about. Behave. Squiggles. How's life in Squiggle land? If you are a squiggle, you are off the wall and creative. You like doing new and different things most of the time. Get bored with regularity. When given a task, you will come up with bright ideas about how to do it. But you don't think in a deliberate pattern from A to B to C. Instead, you tend to jump around in your mind, going from A to M to X to Q to F to G. How to spot a squiggle. They can be flashy, dramatic, and extremely creative. They don't like highly structured environments. Can anyone think of a highly structured environment locally? Yes, okay. Both men and women squiggles tend to be funny and very expressive. They also have great intuition. Most performers and writers are squiggles. And finally, triangles. How's life in Triangle Land? Well, I'm about to tell you that. Okay, you are a born leader who's competitive, confident, can make decisions. You also like recognition, so you've already polished those medals you have not yet got. You're goal-oriented and enjoy planning something out and then doing it. You're motivated by the accomplishment. You will tend to look at big long-term issues. You will tend to look at the big long-term issues like the Constitution of the United States, but might forget the details like storming the Capitol building is not the way to sort things out. Yes. Golden guinea pig head. He's a triangle. But don't worry, being a triangle doesn't make you thick, doesn't make you a minor antichrist. That's just him. American business has traditionally been run by triangles, and although usually men, more women are taking those roles today. How to spot a triangle. They have powerful voices, love to tell jokes, and they play as hard as they work. They also tend to be stylish dressers. All in blue today. How about that? All right, what's the point of that? Obviously, it gives you opportunity for a bit of banter later on, but what is actually the point of giving you these groups to be in? Well, remember, we're still doing the teamwork thing. And the point is that in a team, you will be put in teams, whether they're long-term teams or ad hoc teams, with people who are different personality types. Remember, we're still trying to get you through the storming stage. And one of the things that causes arguments is when people who have different personality types don't understand that because someone doing something different doesn't mean to say they're wrong. Let me give you an example. In a few weeks' time, you'll be up at what we call the DRU, HMS Havoc. That's the damage response in structural unit. And you'll be given a task. You'll go in teams into this great big box about the size of a house, and it will start rocking and rolling. And there will be a big bang and all the lights will go out, and you'll be sent down into a mock-up of a mess deck. And you'll have 20 minutes to stop the ship from sinking. There will be one torch that you can see by. There'll be lots of water sloshing about, and you will have to work as a team. Now, I'm going to use words that you won't understand here, things like fiberglass domes, softwood wedges, aquapops. Don't worry about that. You'll be briefed at the time. But as a team, you have to stop the ship from sinking, and it's really quite difficult to work in that mess deck. As I said, there's one torch that lights you. You can't hear very much because the water's all rushing all over the place, and it's already halfway up to your waist. It will sweep you off your feet. Sweeps me off my feet, and I'm twice the weight of any of you. It's difficult to work down there. How do you work as a team? Well, for all the joke about triangle trumps and all the rest of it, this is your moment, triangles. By the time you get to the bottom of that ladder, you've already worked out how you're going to deploy your team. Someone needs to go over there with aquapop and a fiberglass dome. Someone needs to go over there with some softwood wedges. And you have been able to make a plan. This is what you do really well. You assimilate information and can make decisions very, very quickly. That's the strength of being a triangle. Who's doing the work? Sorry, squares, it's you, mainly. But you've already heard the brief. You know how to do the job. And you have got what you need. You're getting stuck in with the softwood wedges and everything you need, as are the rectangles, those of you who are there. The difference being is, I'm about to see you off royally here, sorry, you're more likely to go under the water to find leaks in the deck or get into the huge fountain that's coming in through the locker to try and knock some softwood wedges in. So the triangles, the squares, and the rectangles are all working together as a team in their different ways to stop the ship from sinking. What's everyone else doing? The circles aren't just talking about it, although they probably are talking, okay? Your circles are your logistics department, your communications department. They know where all the stuff is kept in a locker called the FRPP, and they're keeping the front line supplied with softwood wedges, aquaprop, fiberglass dome, whatever is needed to stop the ship from sinking. So your triangles, your squares, your rectangles, and your circles, all in their own way, are contributing as a team to stopping the ship from sinking. And then there are your poets. Yes, squiggles. What are your squiggles doing? The poets, the artists. Are they composing an ode to the sound of the running water? Are they sketching the sinking ship so tastefully to be filled in later in beautiful, ironic watercolor as the ship goes under the... No. Problem is that the triangles will think that the squiggles are doing nothing. Actually, it could be the squiggles that save the ship. While the triangles and everyone else is shouting at the squiggles, get involved, get stuck in. Never heard that, have you? The squiggles are the ones with intuition. They're the ones who go, wait a minute, there's too much water in here. And it's not just because the ship's sinking. There's too much water in here. Maybe you triangles have missed a buckled hatch cover, because there'll be as much water coming in through a buckled hatch cover as through the great fountains that you can see. But that's all underwater now, you can't see it. Maybe there's a burst pipe. Again, something you can't see. And it could very well be the intuition of the squiggles that saves the ship. Now I know exactly what's going to happen when you're in the Drew in Havoc and the Big Bang lights go out and you're sent down. It's the flooded mess state. You'll forget everything I've said. But the only point I want you to remember is that just because someone's doing something differently from how you would do it doesn't necessarily mean to say that they're wrong. It's just they could be wired differently. Okay, we're almost at the end of this now, but it is all still to do with this particular model. I'll just find that. Okay, we're trying to get you through the storming stage and into the performing stage where the Navy needs you to be. You'll be put into ad hoc teams sometimes. You'll be dropped down the side of a Type 23 frigate and sent off to interrogate a fishing dhow about piracy or smuggling. And by the time you get to the fishing dhow, we don't need you at the storming stage. No point arguing. We need you ready to collect intelligence. We need you performing. Or maybe we drop down the side of a Type 45, sent off over in that direction to a village that is recovering from a tsunami. We don't need you at the storming stage when you get there. You need to be ready to provide first aid, put the fresh water back on, reconnect the power, maybe rebuild the school and bury the dead. We cannot have you at the storming stage. Just because someone isn't thinking the same way you are or going about the task the same way you would do it doesn't mean they're wrong. You need to be able to allow for that in your teams. That's pretty well it now. If this were a live lesson, I'd ask you to think about examples of good team leadership and good team participation. What I will do, however, is I'll come back to that video we started off with. Play the first sequence again, and I want you to look at the protagonists and see what shapes you think they might be, which is partly why they're arguing.
Yeah, our stuff has gone up to £422.
How come?
I have no idea.
Syra has had a good day, but her unrelenting management style takes its toll on her exhausted teammates.
I've got one extra person at £9.
Yes, but
for
don't
4
forget,
hours.
Yes, that's for 4 hours.
Yeah,
For
that's it. That's all I've added on to your figures.
Well, how can that be?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you give me your figures, then I can check what prices, because the pricing's all different. And that's right, that's your responsibility, because you did
for some reason, if you've got your figures, at least we can check to see if Andy has done something cheaper, and then we go back to
This was supposed to be a 20-minute fucking session, this interview,
Paul,
and now all of a sudden it's 10 to fucking 11. And I didn't want to be sat here anyway doing this bloody bullshit. That's why I suggested tomorrow fucking morning.
It's as simple as this. All you have to do is say, right, okay, tomorrow morning when we go to the boat, we'll look at them. You can't do anything about them now. There's a discrepancy. Fine, leave it, move on.
But it's like £400
Yes, but you can't do anything about it now.
Well,
It's not £400 worth, it's £110 difference.
well, if you can't be bothered to go and get your book, Paul, and you can't be
I'm
bothered
doing
to
this, you fucking idiot, for you!
Don't you?
I am here!
And that's probably enough of that. Okay, you saw the argument again, you saw it earlier in the lesson. So what about the people involved? Let's start with a guy called Paul, sitting at the end, objecting to everything. What sort of personality do you think he was? Okay, obviously I can't see your answers. My guess, we haven't done this of course, my guess is he's a triangle. He thinks he's in charge, he's not though, and he's very forceful about what he wants. What about the girl? She's actually in charge, Syra. Okay, well, I think she could very well be a square. Okay, she's shouting, being loud, like everyone, like the others are, but she's asking for more information. How can I do my work without more information? How can I do this? Give me the figures I need. Why aren't you giving me the figures? That's a very square response. And what about the guy in between? The guy in the grey t-shirt, which says, I'm Earth. Well, I think he's a circle. Again, we don't know, but he's trying to be the peacemaker. Look, no, stop there. No, guys, we can do this. Let's talk about it. And that's a very circle response. Obviously, we don't know. We don't know, but it gives an indication of how the arguments develop when they're different personalities not recognizing each other. Okay, we're drawing to a close now. I'm going to leave you with this graphic because this is where we're at. And if you have any questions about teamwork, come and have a chat when we're next open. But remember, we need to try and get you through the storming stage so you can get to the performing stage. What you're looking at here is, of course, the next 20 years of your life if you stay in the Navy that long. Hopefully, you'll have a good time. It's not all about arguing, but we just want to try and get you to understand what it is to work as a team. Thanks for being here, and I'll say ta-ta. Till next time.